long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And we just went back there recently in the recent release of the new Star Wars film, The Last Jedi. I am General H.B. Gibson along with
Jedi Master RT Mac. How you guys doing?
And today we're going to review first. We're going to first review it, and then we're going to talk about the ridiculously hateful backlash that happened after that. So we're going to review it first, then talk about the backlash. I know you're ready to go. I know you're ready to go.
So is the saber.
So is the saber, yeah, because there's some people out there that deserve to get some limbs knocked off. But I'm just going to ask you what you thought of The Last Jedi.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. How did you like it?
I adored it. It was a different direction, and like I have said many times before, if you've watched Geek and Gaming and Cosplaying with H.B. Gibson and the live spoiler review that I did for it, the one thing that I made clear is that with what they did with The Force Awakens, they had to establish the familiar to get the stench of the prequels. Now, I'm not saying I hated the prequels. I don't think they were the most greatest films in the world, but I still watch it because I'm a fan. When you're a fan, you take the good with the bad. You just watch it and you just enjoy it. But for the most part, what Disney had to do was they had to start again because they didn't want to risk the backlash that they got with the prequels. So they had to kind of bring back the familiar, what was fun about the original trilogy. And then they went into a different direction with The Last Jedi.
And they also had to justify their $4 billion investment when they bought Lucasfilm.
Absolutely.
So, no pressure.
I mean, yeah, exactly, no pressure.
But you know what? I give a lot of credit to J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
All that pressure, and he had to have at least aged 10 years on that set.
And from what I was told, he's going to be handling Episode 9. He's coming back for Episode 9.
Absolutely, and he produced The Last Jedi. He executive produced The Last Jedi, and, he handed the reins for this to Rian Johnson, who I thought did a fantastic job.
Fantastic!
And, we're going to get into his comments, in the part 2, when these smiles come off.
Yeah.
And we just start basically giving people exactly what they have coming to them.
Exactly. I mean, listen, I'm raring to go too. But what I just felt that what it did for me, what The Last Jedi did for me was the same thing, and I said this in my other review. It accomplished something that The Empire Strikes Back did, and it had me at the edge of my seat. I didn't know what was going to happen. There were some times when my stomach was burning and my chest was burning because I was like this. Are we going to find out something? Are we going to get some answers? And any film that succeeds in making me do that is a good film.
And like any movie, there's going to be things that we legitimately criticize.
Right.
But you know what? With a Star Wars movie, I mean, with all the story and the characters and how to, narratively tell a good story, there's going to be some plot holes.
Right.
But guess what? The final movie can fix all that.
Exactly.
As long as we establish things. Like, I'll start off with one. Supreme Leader Snoke.
Right.
We finally saw him in person, and he's definitely a badass. We saw a cameo of Force Lightning. We saw a cameo of that. Now, I was not, I did not see coming his own death. The way that Kylo Ren took him out.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, when that happened, it automatically distanced itself from the original trilogy.
Exactly.
Because anybody who's ever seen the honest trailer of The Force Awakens, okay, you know how the theme was that you bring back all the old people, the originals?
Yeah.
Well, in the honest trailer for The Force Awakens, the current honest trailer voice guy had a surprise visit from the original honest trailer voice guy. And then from the original who did the very first honest trailer, which the very first honest trailer was Star Wars The Phantom Menace.
Okay.
And then they got another visit from the guy who did the Avatar honest trailer.
Wow.
So you had 4 honest trailer voice guys. The whole thing
was the whole joke about bringing back familiar things
because they made that whole comparison of how New Hope and Force Awakens, You have basically a desert orphan.
Right.
Rey and Luke.
Right.
Basically escaping from an evil empire on the Millennium Falcon and watching their mentor get killed by a guy dressed in black.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So yes.
Exactly. It all lines up.
So The Last Jedi really broke the mold when they killed off Snoke, and sure, we didn't find out his origins, find out who he is or how he became the supreme leader in the first place.
Right.
But we do know one thing, and this is coming from Rian Johnson himself. He is not Darth Plagueis.
Well, yeah. A lot of people thought that he was Darth Plagueis. If you ever watched Revenge of the Sith, how Emperor Palpatine was talking to Anakin about who Darth Plagueis was when he was actually talking about his own story. A lot of people thought that Snoke was Plagueis, and he absolutely was not.
Yeah, actually, there were some people actually thinking that Mace Windu was Snoke, which would have been ridiculous.
I mean, some of these fan theories out there are just.
But let's go into some positive things.
Yes.
Please give me a positive.
I would say, and since I you know what, I had no idea that this was going to be a spoiler episode, so now you see the title, spoiler. It's going to be spoiler episode. I was pleasantly surprised by the return of Yoda.
Yes,
very.
Frank Oz.
And now, see, I got into a disagreement with someone saying, was this Yoda a puppet or was it CGI? I think it was a puppet. I was looking at it, I was like...
They said it was a puppet.
It was a puppet, had to be a puppet.
I think they said they brought the original puppeters or whoever, basically that same design.
Frank Oz? Yeah.
Because here's the thing. You saw CGI in the blue aura field around it, but that was a puppet.
Right.
And I like that they did that. Because Rian Johnson is keeping with J.J. Abrams' philosophy of using puppets and practical effects along with CGI.
Right.
And sure, you could get on George Lucas for the prequels that it was CGI heavy, but you know what? After all the money he made with the original trilogy,
he can do that. He can do it.
Let him do it. Let him have fun. Like, that's the thing. Let the man have fun.
I go to the movies to be taken away, not with the eye of critique, with my arms folded. I want to be told a story, and I had no high, gigantic, ridiculous expectations. I went in there open-minded, looking forward to seeing something different. I was just excited to see what direction Star Wars is going now, and I think it's going in a fantastic direction.
We did figure out, one thing. Because I don't know if this was a critique for The Force Awakens. I mean, Luke and Leia can obviously sense each other with the Force.
Yeah, exactly.
They're brother and sister. Empire Strikes Back.
Whoopsie. Yeah. Empire Strikes Back. Yeah.
Whoopsie. But there was probably a critique of why she couldn't sense him in The Force Awakens, and we find out Luke cut himself off from the Force.
Exactly. He just stopped.
It's like taking the tracker out of a GPS. Like, you really don't want to be found.
Right.
So I thought that was fantastic.
Exactly.
We found out, and look, I'm not sorry we're spoiling this. The fact that the movie has already made over $500 million, I know most of you have already seen it. So, but yeah, we saw the origins of the Jedi Temple, the original. Original texts. The fact that he kept that place as well maintained as he did, even though he started to hate the Jedi.
Right.
And one thing I did notice, I know a lot of people probably glossed over them. Rian Johnson and his writers gave legitimacy to the prequels, if you notice. You know what scene I'm talking about?
What scene are you talking about?
It's when Rey is trying to figure out why he's so against training her and against the Jedi Order altogether. He said that at the peak of their power, the peak of their arrogance, they allowed the Sith to take over the galaxy. So he brings up the Jedi Council. That's an allusion to them.
Yep.
And he brings up the word Sith, something we only heard in the prequels.
Right.
So when you think about it, George Lucas did a great thing with the prequels by establishing the arrogance of the Jedi.
Yes.
And honestly, Emperor Palpatine, you kind of can't say that he's wrong in that aspect.
Exactly. Like good and evil, as they say, is a point of view. Even when Obi-Wan first said it, you're going to find that the many things that we see rely greatly on our own point of view.
And when you saw how...
the many truths that we cling to.
And the thing is, what really like surprised me and made me laugh is how Mark Hamill, once again, fantastic job, but I noticed he brought a little bit of his Joker wit to Luke.
Yeah, a little bit,
Because there's that one scene, it's my favorite scene one of my favorite scenes with Luke, is when he tells Rey to sit on a meditative pose on that rock on the top of the mountain. And he tells her to reach out with the Force, and she literally tries to reach out, and he's rolling his eyes at her. So her eyes are closed, and he just holds up a leaf to touch her hand. She's like, "Oh, I can feel it. Oh, you feel it? Like that's the Force." And then he just slaps it down. It's like that's the Joker right there.
The humor, a lot of people, the humor was a little bit jarring, but we also, I had to remember, like, you know what, this is several decades after the events that happened in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Things are different, things are a lot more modern, so a lot of the vernacular that was used in the dialogue that seemed to be a little bit more today, a little bit more Earth, this universe Earth and everything, I just took that as an assumption that, like, listen, times have changed, people have changed, the way people speak to each other has changed. I mean, you know, get out of the box of the original trilogy, please.
Yes, and there was something else too that I really liked. It's that, you know, what happened to him, that trauma of losing his own nephew.
Yeah.
Losing his own nephew, you know, I'm not surprised that he cut himself off and put himself into exile.
Right.
I mean, he basically did what Yoda did. Yoda allowed the Jedi's arrogance to lose everything, so he went into exile. These were people he saw as children, as his own family, and in Luke's case, this was his actual family. So I'm not surprised that he would like want to punish himself.
Right.
He gave himself his own jail sentence.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, he's on an island surrounded by miles and miles of ocean with nowhere to go. You saw a cameo of his X-Wing. In the water. When I saw that sucker in the water, I was like, oh man, that kind of like hurt my heart a little bit. So it's like it's in a watery grave.
Yeah.
And, you know, even his reaction to being handed back his lightsaber.
Unexpected. I'm like, foof.
That made me laugh.
That was like...
that made me laugh.
And me too. It made me laugh out loud. It did. It made me laugh out loud. I'm like, what? Okay.
And then we see the interaction with Mark Hamill and Daisy Ridley. They had great chemistry.
Their chemistry was fantastic. Now, another scene that was... It was so... because this was one of those things that had me on the edge of my seat. When Rey started to seek the Force alone, and she was called to that pit. It did call back to The Empire Strikes Back, but it just made me think that maybe these are the trials of the Jedi. When you're reaching out to the Force, where you're gonna go. You know, I guess the Force, you have to reach out to it and know the dark side and the light side and be able to know the difference. You know, because like even Luke asked Yoda in Empire Strikes Back, how are you going to know the good side from the bad? And Yoda will say, you will know when you are calm and at peace. Oh,
and let's go real quick, you know, into this. This was Carrie Fisher's last film, you know.
That scene?
Yeah. We lost Admiral Akbar in that scene.
That was my only... I was upset about that.
Yeah, we lost him.
I was upset about that.
But we saw Leia use the Force for the first and only time.
Do you know that because everything was so secretive and so hush-hush, that when, you know, unfortunately we lost Carrie Fisher, when that scene happened where the bridge was blown up and she was whisked out into space, I was like, no, they didn't. No, they didn't just kill her off and like reshoot and nobody knew about it. And then that scene happened. Tell them about it.
Yeah. Like, some people on the internet are describing her as Mary Poppins the way she did it. But hey, you know what? I'll take it. Because she basically, when they cut back to her, I wasn't sure what they were going to do.
Yeah.
But then, all of a sudden, she connects with the Force. She brings herself back to the ship in one of the most badass scenes Princess Leia has ever been in.
Yeah.
Not even space can kill her.
Yeah,
Not even space can do it. So, when I saw that, and I saw her last for the entire movie, it made me think of one thing. That for episode 9, whatever they call it, J.J. Abrams is going to give Carrie Fisher the same treatment he gave Leonard Nimoy.
Exactly.
Because what did they do with Leonard Nimoy in Star Trek Beyond?
What did they do?
They had original Spock pass away off screen. So they mention it to the younger Spock, and they have a nice little tribute cameo with a photo of the original cast. So it was a nice fitting way for them to say goodbye to an original character. I think they'll do that with Princess Leia in episode 9. You know,
there's no doubt in my mind.
I mean, that'll give them new motivation to take down the First Order.
We have to give these filmmakers a round of applause, man, and so much kudos by the way they handle passings of their actors. I mean, from Paul Walker on up.
I don't think anything can surpass Paul Walker.
That was the way they were able to, like, you know, to pay so much love to him. I mean,
there wasn't a dry eye in those theaters.
No, not one.
But we do have to get to the Luke Skywalker badass scene at the end.
Man,
you want to start this one?
Man, okay.
Here we go.
I do not mind the little Empire Strike Back-esque things of it because, hey, look, it's Star Wars. I'm a fan. I'm good with it. I'm not picky. But when they opened fire on Luke Skywalker, first of all, something was strange because I was like, okay, he gave himself a haircut. He cleaned himself up.
That's what I noticed too. I noticed that.
He cleaned himself up to fight. And I was like, are we about to see the Luke Skywalker from what was that comic book series? It was called Empire's End or something like that. Well, it was a comic book series from Dark Horse where you really see the badassedness of Luke Skywalker. He became very, very powerful. And to see Luke there staring down these Imperial walkers, these new improved Imperial walkers, and they are
slow.
Firing.
And they're still slow.
And they're still slow. And one of these days they're gonna make an AT-AT walker that's gonna run like a gazelle.
I would want to see that.
I would love to see that. That would make rebels like crap on themselves. But anyway, after all the firing and when Kylo Ren ordered all the walkers to fire on him, and then the dust settled, and he walked out there and went. I was like, whew, Luke friggin' Skywalker, man. I mean,
okay, can I take this next part?
Yeah, go.
Okay, Kylo says that he's gonna take him on by himself. That one prick who always gives him shit, you know, started to try and get mouthy again. So Kylo basically put him in his place. Mm-hmm. He went down there, activated his triple saber thing, and even though Luke activated his saber, he was just dodging every attack like Matrix style.
Yep.
He dodged every attack Matrix style, trying to get through to his nephew. Mm-hmm. But then the scene where Kylo does that sword slash, but the camera cuts so quick, you kind of wonder, did it just go through him? Or did he just slice right through him and his whole top half is going to come off?
Yeah, we didn't know if the pauses and the way Rian Johnson does the pauses and holds you in suspense as to whether you're going to find out who this person really is, who that person really is. Is this person going to die? Is that person going to die? He holds your ass by your neck and makes you wait until that last moment, and then you get a reveal.
And then when he tries sticking it in his heart, just like to see if he's really there, then he realizes he's been fighting a force projection the whole time and losing.
And that's one thing. That's one thing that a lot of people complained about was that particular power. What you guys don't understand is the Force, okay? Let's take the Force Awakens. The Force Awakens. There was an awakening in the Force. The Force apparently is what Obi-Wan says is an energy field that surrounds all living things. It surrounds us, penetrates us, it binds the galaxy together. It goes in flux, apparently, and apparently it calls out to people that are open to receiving the Force, or who are sensitive to that sort of thing. And the power of the Force itself is, it leads to a lot of things that a lot of people would deem to be unnatural. And yes, I am quoting Senator Palpatine.
Oh, and then, when we finally see him back on the island, on the meditation rock, we see his projection look at Kylo with that smug smirk.
Yeah.
And he says, see you soon, kid. And he just disappears like that. It was like total badass.
Yeah.
So, I loved it. I love that. And you know what? Everybody's complaining about Luke dying.
Mm-hmm.
One, that separates it from The Empire Strikes Back. Two, are you really that shocked? Because remember, he's still human.
Right.
And because he cut himself off from the Force for so many years,
mm-hmm.
then he gets it back and then uses every single last bit of his energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't have time to get reacclimated to the power.
Right.
So, of course, his energy and heart is going to give out, but at least he found peace.
That's the Force, guys.
So, in a way, he did exactly what Obi-Wan did. His physical body disappeared, so we'll probably see him as a Force ghost in the 9th movie, because he's on the credits.
Yeah.
For whatever they call Episode 9. His name is on the credits.
Yeah. Luke is coming back.
Yeah.
Luke is coming back. Don't worry about it. Luke's coming back.
And, another thing. We all thought that Rey might have been a Kenobi.
Mm-hmm.
But, turns out, sometimes it's just as simple as you just had regular folks and you were just like some special prodigy.
Exactly. It's not, and that's what this film did. It not only was it so diverse in its characters, so different in its storytelling. It reached people on all levels, male, female, different races, and even the privileged and the unprivileged. That the Force is not reserved for anybody special or anybody of any privilege. If you're open to the Force, you can know the Force.
Now here's the thing, she can still be a Kenobi. She could be Obi-Wan's granddaughter, because that would actually make more sense.
Right.
Now, if that's the case, my theory is that Obi-Wan had a kid, whether it be a boy or a girl, that son or daughter got married and didn't really do anything with the Force, just became, just the lowliest kind of person you could be. It happens.
Like the kid at the end.
So, what's her name? Maz
Kanata.
Maz Kanata. She's told Rey that the Force is strong in her family. So, it could technically be from her grandparents' side, not necessarily her parents' side.
Yeah.
So, here's to hoping, because it would make sense with the British accents.
Yeah.
So yes, and real quick, Finn and Poe, still great.
Yeah, man, Finn. They're fantastic. Finn.
He got revenge.
Finn got his revenge good.
He almost did a kamikaze.
Yeah, he almost did a kamikaze. Was saved by the new character Rose. Yes.
And hey, Finn got a little love.
Yeah. I was very happy about that. I'm like, wow, he actually got a little love interest. But I was very happy when Finn and Rey got reunited. I was like, oh, that was so good to see them together again.
Honestly, I always thought Finn and Rey would hook up.
Yeah.
But now it looks like Poe may have his eyes on Rey, but she may be too independent to be tied down to anyone.
Well, we'll see.
and plus, Finn is still her best friend, so
yeah.
there may be a little triangle in the last movie. You never know.
Right. I'll never know.
I'm wondering about that.
Yeah.
Is there anything we forgot to cover?
I'm trying to think. Is there anything or anyone that
Well, there is one thing.
What?
When Luke fought Kylo, they were at an original Rebel base from the Empire days.
Really?
Yeah. That's why all the machines they were working were like primitive to them.
Yeah.
Those steel doors.
Those giant steel doors, yeah.
That come down very slowly.
Right.
And they said the Empire, the rebellion is reborn. Isn't that what Luke said? The rebellion is reborn?
Yeah.
So...
It also had, I mentioned before, and I also heard it from someone else, that this Star Wars film had a little flavor of Battlestar Galactica, and I'm gonna tell you why. When the First Order found the planet where the rebels were, and they were fleeing the planet, and this caravan of resistance ships trying to find safe haven, and they were constantly being pursued by the First Order.
Yeah.
It really did kind of remind me of Battlestar Galactica when the last tribe of humans in space were being pursued and hunted by the Cylons. So there was a little twinge of a Battlestar Galactica, I noticed. But that was cool.
Well, there is one thing, and this was an article I read, that we actually found out something in The Last Jedi that was an Easter egg in Rogue One.
Really? Now, what was that?
In The Last Jedi, they found out that the First Order could track them through light speed.
Track them through light speed. That was a son of a gun. Wow.
And when you look back at Rogue One, I didn't notice this until somebody brought up the scene. What was it name?
Jyn Erso.
Jyn Erso, when she was looking at, the Death Star plans, she was looking through some files and found track through light speed. So the Empire was already the Empire was already developing that technology, and the First Order completed it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my God.
Epic space
Laura Dern
battle.
Laura Dern.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Laura Dern. Oh my God. That hyperspace kamikaze suicide blast where she hit that hyperspace and just went through all those ships, and the silence and everybody in the theater was like, woo.
It's like at first you kind of liked her, and then you hated her, and then you liked her again when Leia woke up from her coma. And well, we all applauded her when she did that final attack. So she must have looked back at her training in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, bro. But still, all in all, that had to be the opening. That has to be one of the best. Has to be the best space battle since Return of the Jedi. That space battle was amazing. The bombers. It reminds me of the B-wings, but they had like a fat bottom to hold all the bombs. And Rose's sister, who sacrificed herself to drop the bombs she kept kicking and kicking and kicking that ladder to make that remote control come down so she could. And we thought that she didn't get it, but then we saw the hand come down and grab it, activate the bombs, boom.
And we briefly saw Kylo Ren become Ben Solo again.
Yeah.
When he teamed with Rey, and that team up was epic.
Yes.
That team up was epic.
That lightsaber fight scene, despite the fact that there weren't any high jumps and super martial arts stylized stuff, I think that has to be the best lightsaber fight scene in the Star Wars series. Since Darth Maul.
So, I think we covered about everything we needed to.
Yep.
We saw Luke become one with the Force. He joins Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Yoda, his father. I don't know if he joins Han. I don't know if Han got that lucky.
Yeah, well.
They did reference him.
Yeah.
But we also saw Yoda destroy the original temple, laugh about it, taught Luke that even he has much to learn as a master.
Yep.
We saw Luke find peace. He was able to train one last person who will be the true, at least for the time being, Last Jedi. We saw that end scene, that kid.
Yes, the kid. I mentioned that earlier, which lets you know that the one thing that this new Star Wars is doing is showing that the Force is not reserved to the privileged. It could be for anybody who is open and willing to know the Force.
And we may find out, the origins of how those kids learn how to use the Force. Was it by Luke or somebody else?
Well, could be. Yeah. Well, maybe it might have been passed down, but like I said, there are people out there that are just Force sensitive and probably just find out. Yeah. One other thing. Have you noticed the music? Especially towards the end of the film, where the Millennium Falcon was being chased by the TIE fighters, that I believe the planet that they were on was called Crate, and they were flying through the red crystals and everything in the underground, and that music was straight from the original A New Hope, when the Millennium Falcon escaped the Death Star and was being pursued by the TIE fighters, and Han got in one turret and Luke got in another turret. Chewie was driving, and Leia was there. 3PO and R2 were being bounced around and everything. That same music that they used in that scene, they used when the TIE fighters were chasing the Millennium Falcon through the belly of the planet Crate. I sat there and I literally felt 7 years old again.
Courtesy of Mr. John Williams.
Courtesy of Mr. John Williams, man.
That score.
Yes. Always. Forever.
He has to be nominated at the next Academy Awards, and I hope he wins it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got about 5 Oscars already. I want him to go for number 6.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if he ever won it for any of the Star Wars movies.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's worked with Spielberg and Lucas so much, he's identified with their stuff.
Yeah.
So much of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to the nominations this movie gets.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll surpass The Force Awakens on box office.
Mm-hmm.
As we'll explain in part 2, you're going to see why it may not reach that level.
I want Mark Hamill to at least be nominated for Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor or whatever. I mean, his performance as Luke, it was incredible. Incredible.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm sure a lot of people wanted him to be like that wise Obi-Wan type. Why do you want him to be like another person? Why don't he just be himself?
Exactly. See, like I said, we're all guilty of watching, I'm not going to say guilty pleasure, I guess, of watching all 3 of the original Star Wars films, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, and we're all stuck in that box, and we want to have those old feelings again. There are just some times where you treasure those old times, but we have to be able to embrace new things and embrace change. And if you are a true fan, you take things with the good, you take things with the bad, but you give it a chance and open your mind, and let's just go into this new frontier, this new time. This film is taking place decades later than Return of the Jedi, and you have to be able to move on with the times.
And the way Mark Hamill, played Luke, like I said, he had a bit of the Joker in him.
Mm-hmm. He didn't really and he said he didn't really wasn't really feeling the way Rian Johnson was taking Luke, but it was good, Mark. Yeah, well, it was good.
He understands why Rian Johnson did it.
Yeah.
Directors have a vision,
mm-hmm.
and he's trying to help him realize that vision.
Mm-hmm.
And whether Mark Hamill didn't think that this is the way Luke should have been portrayed in the movie,
mm-hmm.
I'm sure he still appreciated and respected what they did with him,
mm-hmm.
because in the end, if you look at true fans and people who are open-minded,
right,
they love it. They loved what they did with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm looking forward to seeing him as a Force Ghost in Episode 9,
mm-hmm.
which will come out December of 2019.
Mark Hamill himself.
So, another Christmas movie.
Yeah.
So
Mark Hamill himself even said so himself. He told Ryan, he said, Ryan, I'm not really digging where this is going, but my job is to perform and do and bring to life your vision. So he went with it, and Mark Hamill, man, He did a great job.
And Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher, God rest her soul, fantastic.
She was still a sharpshooter in that movie.
Yes.
Because like she was just like, whether it was Poe or an enemy, she was just blasting dudes away.
Yeah.
Just blasting them away. She Mary Poppins her way back to the ship.
Yeah. And we're going to get after y'all in the next episode, because the next episode is going to be called H&R Movie Talk Wars Attack of the Fans.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Prepare yourself, because we're not holding back.
No.
There's going to be no language barrier or filter. We're going completely uncut.
We're going in. So until that video, may the force be with you.
Oh, and just for one last time,